Good evening, Jessi. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Hey, I'm good too. Thank you for taking time for talking to me and taking this time to give us this interview for our members and readers. I really appreciate that, and I'm very sure my members and readers appreciate that as well. Now, Cupcake Kids sounds yummy, sounds delicious, sounds cute, all at the same time. So, why don't you start with telling us a little bit about you and Cupcake Kids?
Sure. Well, I worked for Bear Stearns for 6 years, and I was a casualty of the Bear Stearns to JP Morgan merger. And I was trying to figure out what to do next and looked into other finance jobs. Kind of was thinking, all right, this is a new chapter of my life. What do I want to do with it? And I had started Cupcake Kids as a hobby about a year and a half prior to JP Morgan buying Bear. And so I had this business going, you could say. It wasn't anything I ever started thinking I would do it full time. It was really I love kids, I love food. I was kind of creating something creative being on Wall Street and, doing numbers all day and things which I thoroughly enjoyed, but was craving a little more creative side. So I started this, and when everything happened on Wall Street, I said, I think I'm going to give it a shot. I'd had more interest than I could fill, people having interest in cooking birthday parties, cooking classes. And, that kind of leads me to today. I do it full time. It's been 13 months since I've been doing it full time, and I guess almost 2.5 years since starting it.
Wow.
And yeah, thanks. And so what we do is we're not a bakery, as people often ask. We don't just teach cupcakes. I teach kids to cook. And we do cooking classes, cooking birthday parties, field trips where schools will send their second grade class in to visit, and we'll teach them how to make whole wheat pizza or whatever it is, and really teach them about the ingredients, fun with cooking, fun with food, and making it an event.
Nice, nice. Now, is this your first business? I would love to hear more about your background with entrepreneurial aspirations. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I've always been interested in being an entrepreneur. I think my dad and my grandfather are entrepreneurs or have the entrepreneurial blood running in them. And in college, during the summers, I swam Division I in college. I went to Harvard. And so in the summers, I didn't have time really to get your normal internship or job going to a big city because I had to train for swimming. So what I did is I would coach a swim team in the evenings of 105 kids, ages kind of 5 to 18. And then I started a technique camp for swimmers to teach literally everything from teaching kids to swim to kind of the more advanced strokes to the older kids. And so that was kind of my first foray into the business world, this small little business I did in Maryland. And, made a decent amount of money for it such that it would be able to help me with my living expenses the next year at school. So that was my first foray into business. And I kind of got the bug then that I liked it. I liked the creativity, and I liked all the kind of independence and creative struggles that ensued from being an entrepreneur. So I guess from that point on, I had an interest in doing it.
Great. Great. Now, Harvard, Bear Stearns, Wall Street. Really big names, really big things. Do you ever feel like going back to that life? Do you ever feel like giving up on your entrepreneurial aspirations and going back, taking up the regular job, making big money, and just totally give up on everything else?
Right. Well, I always liked big money. So, but aside from that, I mean, yeah, right. So everyone would always want to make a little bit more. I think that's, no one will ever say no to that. But I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm totally and completely challenged in a different way than before. I think before, at a big company, I always say you do your job and everyone else does their job, and it doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room for kind of, I guess, free creative license to do other things or developments as you see them a lot of times. And so what I really enjoy about being an entrepreneur is developing a business. And if I get an idea, then I'll spend the whole day working on developing that idea, or, while I have it and while I see a niche in the market or something I want to fill. And that kind of total creative control and total business authority is really totally challenging, totally motivating, and I'm loving that. And I like developing things. I think it's opened my eyes even more to the development that are available to the entrepreneurs.
Great. So, hey, talking about going back to Bear Stearns again, I mean, who knows Wall Street closer to you? So, we are in a recession. We are having bad news from all over the place. And, where people are tight-fisted, the VCs are tight-fisted. Do you suggest, is it a right time to start business?
Well, I think so. I mean, I would say yes. People always ask me how I'm handling this economy, and my answer is fantastically, because I don't know any other economy. I mean, this is where I started my business, and I think if you can start it now and make it now, when things turn around, you're going to be so much better off, because a lot of companies who were big and are now struggling through this, for whatever reason, I started here, so this is all I know. Business is growing for me, so I can only imagine that when the economy reverses, it'll grow even quicker than it is right now. And I think if you're a business that would experience downtime now, then that's the perfect opportunity to get your systems in place, plan, strategize, all the things that if you were fully busy doing what your business set out to do, you probably wouldn't have time to do. So I think It's a great time to kind of get excited about something and plan, especially in these summer months, what it is you want to do and where your passion is going to be in the business. And also, as for funding, I'm a big proponent of self-funding if you can, or, I think venture funding is available to some, but you lose a lot of control in that. So obviously CupcakeKids is a small kind of grassroots business that's grown through word of mouth. And we're in New York City, potentially looking at other cities in the whole world around kids and food and products and all that there is there. And for me, I wanted to regain control. So the money I make, I'm reinvesting constantly into the business to grow it and do it that way was my approach.